So, yes, I'm back here again to talk about American domestic politics, and I want to highlight the recent events that unfolded under this corrupt, incompetent regime, um, and this current president's illegal invasion and bombing of Iran, which is effectively putting us in harm's way, World War III, which is sending American troops to the ground, unnecessary lives are being lost, and by the way, we're losing the war. So it's an extra thing to add to his record as president, a failed foreign policy endeavor without a plan. What a shocker, because he's doing the bidding for the Israeli government, Netanyahu. So, aside from that, um, even some of his closest allies are breaking from him, including his recent, was it assistant or vice chair of national intelligence, Joe Kent. And I'll give you a rundown history of Joe Kent. Military guy, very conservative, very right wing, very much of the MAGA movement. Okay. He was so right wing, he could not win a district. He lost to a Democrat twice in Washington Districts 3. He was a former congressional candidate to a moderate Democrat. I mind you, that district has been held by Republicans for years. Well, he lost that seat. He was too right wing for even the voters of that district. Yeah, that guy, which I think Trump won that district by a couple points. Which I don't know. Trump seems like Teflon. I have no idea why. But he underperformed, by the way, when he won votes from that district. But what I want to say, though, is even he effectively resigned, and he didn't agree with Trump's approach on foreign policy, especially with the Iran war. And he resigned. And he gave specific reasons why he disagreed and resigned. Okay? Because again, even principled conservatives did not want to go to war with Iran. They know the implications. All right. Now, I know some people are so deeply drinking the Kool-Aid, they're willing to believe anything Trump tells them, and that's unfortunate because the guy's a liar. His whole life's been a lie. He's going to continue to lie. He's going to con people with his Bitcoin scam and all this other BS, which people are going to choose to believe it. That's fine. It's unfortunate because you're not believing the truth, you're believing a lie. But, because you choose not to have a mind of your own. But, yeah. So when Tulsi Gabbard got grilled on this, because remember, it's very important that she is asked these questions because she is the head of national intelligence. So he was the vice chair. She is the head of the national intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard did not disclaim anything Joe Kent said. By what she said, she effectively vindicated what Joe Kent's statement was, even without answering the question. So she is under oath. She can't lie. She knows that. So her way of, this has always been her cowardness of her political career. When she voted president, when they talked about impeaching Trump the first term. Okay, this is how she approaches everything. If you look back at her congressional record as a congresswoman, president was like the favored vote she took on almost every issue. I vote present. I declare I'm not taking a position. She's doing the same thing right now at head of national intelligence. I mean, I will say it's better than her lying. It's a grade up from being a complete liar. She's somewhat holding to her principles because she don't agree with Trump's foreign policy approach, and that would be the common sense position to take. Because she was the one hearing the warning about a war with Iran years ago. I remember I had the videos posted. I shared some of the videos on my Twitter accounts back when it was Twitter. Okay, so I was a follower of hers many years ago on Twitter. Okay, I remember all the rhetoric she went and spewed to the public. I remember the position she took. All right. So she's right now doing a clear contradiction without answering the question. Because why would she answer the question? She ain't going to lie for Trump. And I don't blame her. You know, why would you lie for this guy? He's going to throw you under the bus. So she's not taking a position either way, though, because she looks like a fool right now. Because she's working for the devil incarnate, is what I call him. So, you know, she always kind of took cowardly positions, and that's how she operated throughout her political career. It is better than lying, though. I will say that. She ain't lying for Trump either. So I will say she's doing that much, with that much integrity. But by her answering the question the way she did, she's effectively dodging responsibility at the same time, because she's the head of intelligence. So when she's saying she can't make the decisions, there's where the lie comes in. That's not true. You make the decisions for the safety of national security based on the evidence you have. Okay? It's not just what the president decides. No. In Trump's world, it's what the president decides. That is not always the case, though. The president doesn't always get to decide whether something's a threat or not. They're letting Trump decide what he wants to do. They're effectively advocating their responsibilities from their department. So what she's effectively saying is, I'm not doing my job as a national intelligence agency. I'm letting Trump decide that. Donald Trump gets to decide who we bomb or who's a threat. That's effectively what she's saying as the head of national intelligence. She's saying she's not calling the shots at all. She's not making any of the decisions. Doesn't sound like a leader, does it? No. That sounds like a puppet for a fascist regime. That sounds like somebody going along to get along for the sake of elevating her own political career. What it sounds like to me. So, awfully quiet, Mrs. Anti-War. Interesting when it comes to Trump. But she had plenty to say when it was Democrats. She had plenty to say when it was Republicans she didn't like. She had plenty to say about any other politician. But completely silent when it comes to Donald Trump, who I'm going to tell you is probably the worst man to ever operate our foreign policy, along with the likes of Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth. The worst I've witnessed in my lifetime, and we lived through a lot of presidents in my 40 years of life, okay? I remember the George Bush era with the Iraq War. That was a terrible foreign policy decision. This is even worse. This is worse than Iraq. Okay? Far worse. Donald Trump managed to make George W. Bush look like a saint. Donald Trump managed to make George H.W. Bush look competent. Okay? That's how much worse it is now, 20 years later. And I really didn't think it would get worse. I didn't think it could get worse than this. But it has. And Tulsi Gabbard is basically telling the truth and lying at the same time when she's the head of national intelligence. She's effectively saying, I don't call the shots, the president does. That's all we need to know. That's quite evident. And at the same time, she's admitting that she kind of agrees with the position of Joe Kent, but she's basically saying quietly, I got myself a lawyer and I'm heading for the exits. That's the answer you effectively got out of Tulsi Gabbard. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Have a great night. Have a great day. Goodbye.